the people of larger barangay or larger far-flung barangays are still hoping against hope that one day they will also progress like those cities and municipalities under the province. There are two options where larger barangays in far-flung areas can also become a town or municipality. First option, if a province is created 10-kilometer radius outside Pampanga City proper, while the highly urbanized city of Pampanga will remain as such with one congressional district. Second option, if the barangays adjacent to Subugay in the East Coast and Zamboanga del Norte in the West Coast are annexed to these neighboring provinces. It will be recalled that Basilan Island was a part of Zamboanga when it became a city in 1936, but because of neglect by the city officials, Basilan was divorced and became a separate city in 1948. But anyway, I would like to greet our good people sa Zamboanga City. Belated Dia de Zamboanga and belated happy 84th year anniversary of Barangays of Zamboanga City. Well, actually, I'm saying this because I have personal knowledge of Zamboanga since 1960s. Because I've been traveling from Pagadian to Zamboanga. When Zamboanga City and Basilan City were under the operational jurisdiction of Zamboanga del Sur Provincial Command. So I'm very familiar with Basilan and Zamboanga City since the 1960s. You were then in Basilan at the time, Ed, I think.
Yeah.
I believe you were born in Basilan, or
I was born in Basilan.
but since Basilan is a part of Zamboanga, you are Zamboangueño.
Yeah, I am a Zamboangueño because I was born 1951.
In fact, all the residents of Basilan at the time when Zamboanga became a city were Zamboangueños.
Yeah.
Di ba? Because that was a part of the city. But anyway, sa national issue, mayroong komentary si President Duterte. He is asking any Filipino to make a comment on his plan of in fact abrogated yung natin, BFA, but it is extended at I think 6 months extension. But he is asking a comment or recommendation from the ordinary citizens whether it is possible to extend the BFA.
He is asking to comment and text to 8888.
Correct. That is what is not just other mga expert kuno doon sa Manila, there are a lot of
He want to
opinions,
to hear from everybody,
from ordinary citizens.
from ordinary citizens.
In fact, he was commenting that while other countries were given $16 billion, parang compensation ba, the Philippines received only $3 billion, no? and yet, because of the Mutual Defense Treaty, where we have to be with them wherever they are against any country during the war. It started, in fact, in Korea. We were with the American forces, Allied forces in Korea in 1950s. And yet, we have no quarrel with Korea, di ba?
In Vietnam also, we sent forces in Vietnam.
But because Korea was an enemy of US, we are there because of the Mutual Defense Treaty. Ang kalaban nila, kalaban din natin. Yan ang hindi maganda.
Correct.
Pagkatapos Vietnam War naman, wala. We have no quarrel with the Vietnamese people. Pero we were there during the Vietnam War. Kasi, because of the Mutual Defense Treaty. And yet, nung tayo nagka-problema dito sa West Philippine Sea, sabi ng US, hindi sila makialam sa problema dyan sa China, at sana yung
West Philippine Sea.
Or China problem, with other countries. Ayun, hindi na daw sila makialam. Now, binula naman tayo na if China daw will attack the Philippines, they will support. Paano atakin? Kaya na, naging kaibigan na natin ng China di ba?
Correct.
Kasi nakikita natin ang US, parang tinatalikuran tayo kung may problema tayo. Ngayon, sabi nila, dahil alam nila na China will never attack the Philippines because China is not interested of Philippine territory. They are only interested of the West Philippine Sea, which they own now. Di ba? We own the papers, but they own the place. So, ang tanong ni Presidente, kung anong gusto ng taong bayan, i-extend ang BFA
Visiting Forces Agreement.
or ituloy-tuloy ng brigade. Well, to me personally, no, if we are given the sufficient or fair and just compensation of 16 billion, just like what other countries are receiving, and yet these countries that are receiving 16 billion, we're not even there in Korea before. We're not in Vietnam when we were at war with the Korean War together with the Allied Forces of the US and in Vietnam. Wala sila doon. Bakit ngayon mas malaking kanila? And yet, ang ating compensation na binigay sa atin after even after the Second World War, after Vietnam, yung helicopter, iyo, ay, tayo.
Yung mga luma.
Yeah, kasi it started to crash in 1970s. I can still remember. I was in Cotabato when the one helicopter where Colonel Xiongko, the brigade commander of Awang, Cotabato, crashed and he died in fact in that crash. No? That's why the camp now is called Camp Colonel Xiongko. That is one. And followed by so many other crashes. In Basilan, you still remember?
I remember.
General
I forgot the name.
Asuncion?
Oh, yeah. In
When,
Malamawi.
Sumabit yung chopper sa Nyog.
Sa Niyog, sa Malamawi.
He died there, I tell you. Still very, And yet, ang kuha natin, policy, pag may nag-crash, grounded mo na. After few weeks, balik na, ulit pa na naman. Pag may nag-crash, grounded na naman. In fact, in Leyte, my classmate si Gerald Bananyas, classmate ko sa Gerald Staff College, together with General General Ulay, they died in the Leyte crash. No? Dalawa sila, puro general. Another incident yung sa police, general, no? Mabuti yung chief NP pero yung isang general na, I think General Cross, medyo serious pero at least naka-recover na. Then followed by another crash ng 7 patay sa Laguna ba yun? Latest crash ng yung
Kasi luma yung mga binibigay sa atin, yung mga galing
at
sa...
At saka itong kuha natin naman, because we are a poor country, yung mga sa US and other countries, mayroong silang limit ng number of hours sa spare part nila. Whether it is still usable or not, basta umabot ng oras na yan, let's say 1,000 hours, palit niya yan. Sa atin hindi man, maganda, pwede pa ito. Ha? Pero di natin alam yung metal fatigue, tawag ng metal fatigue. Ibig sabihin, ang capacity niya tapos na, maganda lang tingnan. Di ba? Pero the spare part is already suffering from metal fatigue. But because of our lack of financial capabilities, we to continue to use these helicopters until it crashes. Pag na-crash, grounded na naman. Every time may crash, grounded after few weeks or few months, balik na naman.
Nandito na si Jun Feliciano. Good morning.
Akala ko na-crash si Jun.
Good morning.
Jun, good
Praise
morning.
the Father lang kita. Yan ang importante.
We were talking about crashes of helicopter ba?
Saan? Na-crash? Na-crash?
Yung sabi ni Rex ba, because the President made a comment that he want that the ordinary Filipino people will comment on the BFA.
Visiting Forces Agreement.
So Rex was talking about kasi yung mga binibigay sa atin yung mga luma na helicopter na yun
Bigay ng luma. Hindi gusto ng Presidente luma. Gusto siya.
Yun na nga
Modern talaga sa Pilipinas.
Ang demand ng Presidente ngayon, $16 billion.
Nakita nga ang boots niya ng mga military. Bakit ba ganyan ang boots ninyo? I will, modernize yung mga boots ninyo. Gusto niya.
I still remember Jun. Pati yung medyas ng militar, laylay.
Hindi siya gusto.
Pati yung mga issue ng mga underwear, may mga issue man noon. Boots, socks, saka underwear. Puro laylay.
Por eso nga, yun ang issue ng SCAP, ng sino pa yung babae, na bili daw ng mga lahat ng military uniforms, hindi mga class talaga. Sino pa? Napoles ba yun? Por eso ganyan yun. He hates corruption, si Duterte.
So, ang nangyari dyan, the BFA was abrogated, no? But it was extended for 6 months. And yet some senators before were, even up to now, Ping Lacson is one, questioning the abrogation of the agreement without the conscience, ano tawag dito? Without the knowledge of Congress, because according to it has to be ratified. But anyway, yung ratification naman, that is at the beginning, no? Just like the commissioner appointment. The president appoints, but the commissioner appointment, a very powerful commission, confirms the appointment. Without confirmation, that cabinet secretary cannot assume office.
But when he assume office, the president can terminate him
That's why,
anytime.
after the confirmation, the president can kick out any cabinet secretary if he becomes
He doesn't have to
ineffective.
consult the Senate.
So to me, we are not lawyers, but common sense lang ba? In the case of BFA, parang ganun din,
Wala,
no?
Jun.
Ibig sabihin dyan na the agreement was ratified by Congress with 2/3 vote, but during the abrogation, wala na silang pakialam.
Correct.
That is according to the president. Well, I believe the president because in the first place, he is a lawyer and he has a battery of legal counsels. So itong BFA, kung ituloy man sa akin, because the president is asking for comment, provided US will give us $16 billion as compensation, just like other countries who have not even participated in the Korean War or in Vietnam War. Pero tayo, because of our mutual defense agreement, kung anong kalaban ng Amerika, kalaban din natin. That's why we were involved in the Korean War, we will involve in the Vietnam War. Di ba, John?
Totoo yan. President gusto naman pair lang sa atin. Tayo, we will die for America noon World War II. Side by side talaga yan pagkuhan tayo sa Amerika. Pero tingnan niyo ang tulong nila sa atin. Mas malaki pa sa tulong ng iba na wala naman tulong sa kanila basta digmaan na. Basta digmaan na, they rely on ng mga Pilipino kasi warriors tayo eh. Pero so ang presidente parang, por eso mabuti na, revolutionary government. Para wala nang kuskus balungos dyan ng Senado na yan. Marami naman, mga artista naman, mga locals natin, wala talagang gawa.
Ese revolutionary government, tapensa ba yun?
Cosa
Kung
ba?
deklara si Cory Aquino revolutionary government, kita le todo lo oficial.
Na?
Mayor, governor, yan appoint lang le.
Sino naman kasi. Pero
pero
kasi Duterte siya, revolutionary. Hindi si Aquino, hindi si Marcos. Duterte siya.
Nakibodo siya.
Kaya si Duterte got set eh. Deberasan siya.
It might differ with other yung policies of revolutionary government. During the time of Aquino, tama yun na all local officials, local chief executives were replaced, no? But in the case of Duterte, he may do that or he may not. Di ba? It depends upon the junta. Because if you declare revolutionary government, ibig sabihin junta yan.
Because yung revolutionary government na declare si Cory, then afterwards, nakaroon ng 1987 yung bagong constitution.
Yeah. Then we were governed by the Constitution after that. An election was held in 1988.
Yeah.
That started the election.
So
of
I
the
don't
3
think
years.
so. Parang mahirap mag-declare ng revolutionary government.
Well, that is possible. No? Because we have so many problems. And there is justification there. No? Although, that revolutionary government is not found in the Constitution. That is extract on that. But the only way to solve this corruption problem is, one is to declare the revolutionary government so that all those involved in corruption, all those public officials, public servants who are bulakbol, who are tamad, could be terminated. In fact, the policy of the president now is not suspension anymore, but termination. Kasi sabi niya, if you suspend a public official for 6 months, 9 months, after that, he will be back. Di ba? So, termination is the best
Pero
remedy.
Rex, I was confused with the recent issue in national issue ba? Yung nak-encuentro ang police pati ang PDEA. Hindi clear. Until now, it's not clear to me.
Well, actually, that is being investigated by the NBI. Neutral agency has to be investigated. That is given to the NBI. And
Sa tingin mo, Rex?
let us wait for the result. Hindi pa natin
We'll
alam
wait
kasi
for the result.
wala
Okay,
tayong
okay.
wala tayong knowledge yan eh.
Ito
But
yun.
that is a very unfortunate
Maraming
incident.
mga similar incidents. Yung nga sa Holo, misencounter daw between police and intelligence. Marami, pag ganyan, misencounter, ganyan, pero it boils down to pareho lang yan. Ewan ko, I don't want to conclude maliciously, pero ganyan talaga ang ugali natin eh. Ewan ko. So let us leave it to the NBI, ang president
Oh,
ng
yun, yun.
NBI.
Kasi
Hands
we
of
have
the
so many
president,
law
baka.
enforcement agencies. Eh.
Oo.
So he assigned the
Kasi
NBI.
nakakahiya yan, biro ninyo, mga law
Mga 2
enforcers.
hours, 2 hours na putukan.
Mga law enforcers sila, depende.
Saka may mga may mga patay pa.
Yeah, dalawang pulis ang patay doon.
Ano din, so nakakahiya yan sa taxpaying public. Delikado yan, crossfire dyan ang mga civilian. Taxpaying public
Quezon
tayo,
City,
depende ganyan giving bad example, giving bad.
PIDEA
Hindi
versus the
pwede yan.
police.
They should be role model. Ganyan, biro din yun. Sila lang mismo. Kung saan man si klase, mga law enforcers dyan.
No, sila coordination.
Ako sa paman. Sige na mga tese. Di ila si. Nung sahe ko sa hidden agenda, di ila li.
Well, that will be known after the NBI investigation.
Yeah.
Well ago, John, before you arrived, we were talking about the celebration yesterday. No?
Oh, kaya celebra ayer.
Dia de Zamboanga.
Na.
To me, I
Oo.
said, it is not just Dia de Zamboanga, but it is the 84th year anniversary of barangays of Zamboanga City. We have to give due recognition to the barangays because without the barangays, we cannot have a city.
Correct.
John?
Mm.
So it is a dual celebration, Dia de Zamboanga and anniversary of the barangays of Zamboanga City.
But you know, despite we are the oldest, we are first charter city, tingnan ninyo. Sila lang ita si Buhayin mo Zamboanga sa mga alto opisyalis sa tag na posisyon. Sila lang ta si guwapo kung Zamboanga pero Miral Tedes. Manadagat issue ki. No sila resolve. In fact, we are lagging behind. Dahil kita accept siya. Lagging behind na Kunel Davao, una pa kita ko siya kita charter, old city, charter city. Pero Miral Tedes siya. May kita ki, kwan, mobileo, timbanamento. Kaya too much politics. Kaya, tang kontestahan natin sila ayer. Kaya teo, kore mayor, kaya kada uno, kaya ting Colorado, takwan, sila Artilim Boulevard, hindi daw igual como antes. Tala sila. Tabukatan sila mga kwan. Umalin siya.
Si John Hunter do Conselso.
Ay,
Alam
ipisip pa yun, tapos kung tayo sa kung Monsi. Ya pwede ka nila diha na Diyos, kung nalindi pala hindi. Diha, namasali, hustili. I am praying for his health. Mamasali, may man, boroto, lili. Pwede takito lang nila.
But anyway,
Adios ka
John,
lang nila, pirali ko mo padre.
he is planning or he is qualified to run for governor.
Yan,
Si Munsi.
But,
Frustrated.
you know what, he has to think of himself also. Kasi nandun yan provided to him, kailangan na healthy mind ka. I'm praying for his health first. Pag mabuti ang health niya, he can even run for senator or even for one higher position. Magandang kanya. Pero he has to
Tamira to
look after
deteriorating this health.
Ha?
Deteriorating ya.
Na he's the one saying nagkwan pa. The public should know about his health condition. Kwan yan ako sa pasi tamang kwanele every twice ga so
Dialysis.
we should be he is very open man ang kanyang sickness. He has to attend to his health first kasi you cannot think well pag ganyan. He is very much qualified, no doubt about it.
Pero ya olvídale con el Diyos, ha? Ya dejar.
Nakako sa man nagduaga nila di sutana. Kung sa man sa kere di sir, el mga gente masita sa issue ko. No pwede ka nila kontesta. Sina siya, punto lang nila ko ng mga gente. Sina. Sita sa ko na issue.
Tama, John. But anyway, our local officials, especially our local legislators, should think deeper. Kasi ang plano ngayon puro tawag skin deep
Ay, wala.
It's only good for how many years, but there are so many resolutions, ordinances, pero short term, short time.
Sila, Rex, they want na to create a new district so that there will be an additional congressman. Yung suggestion natin is to create a province, magkaroon 3 din ang congressman. East, West, and Zamboanga City.
Yeah, we are hitting three birds in one shot. No?
Mm.
The province is created, the two districts will remain, another district for the lone congressional district of Zamboanga City will be created. So, we have one congressional district added, one province, and 8 municipalities, as the case may be. So, we will have increased era. We will have a separate era or internal revenue allotment for the province, for the municipalities, and for the barangays. You can just imagine how much is the era for the province and municipalities. Malaki, di ba? Compared with just a barangay up to now. For the past 84 years, this Bitali, which is the biggest barangay outside of Zamboanga City proper, is still a barangay up to now. While Pagadiad, Dipolog, and General Santos were still barangay in 1936. But now, what are these barangay?
They are very successful
Very
cities,
progressive. General Santos City, of course, Pagadian and Dipolog, Coronadal.
including
We have
Ipil.
In all other barangays that were still contemporary of Bitali in the 1930s. Ipil is one of our neighbor, no? That was a very shabby community in 1960s. I used to pass by there. They do not have even carinderia. But in Bitali, they have that restaurant there where the buses flying Pagadian and Zamboanga City schedule their breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Bitali. So, ibig sabihin na Bitali is the most progressive barangay among the barangays of the city outside the city proper. So, I think it's about time that our local officials should think deeper, John.
Kasi, pero si konversa kita si Ansina, dolakil out, kumo weird ba si kumo pan ba si kanila sa kung sa batihin, kita konversa mga pan. Kumo kanaton ta konsidera sila kumo out of this world ba kita. Without thinking, kay los temas taman by leaps and bounds their progress. Okay, they have too much politics after their interest lang. Oh, klaro man yan para bien lang man si Dila, hindi ba bien del dahol sa Zamboanga City. Okay, ko sa buen idea kita pa, kasi maiset sa kanila, hindi sila konsidera.
Porque magkalsilit-lit makurho niya brado kumbeng man resign niya.
Na, siguro tamen, dede lang nga. We have to respect the views of Councilor Lit Macron. Kaya si Hente Silio, hindi lang basta-basta konversa, sinoy le kosa. Base. Kosa man yasit tamen si Mayor Beng. O, esa pregunta del Hente, hindi lang si Jun Feliciano. Kosa ba yasa dato? Desde Consejal Tuyas al 1998 hasta ahora, what have you done? Silang tuta sa Bugal del Apilin Boulevard. Manada man nese, si Celso gane nese, tambugal tamen. Akay ba dali tumira, kaya hindi ka tulida kuntigo ba? Ang legasya, kaya grande impact kunal gente. They touch their life. That touches their lives. Kasi man kaya dali mira. Mamuti sila takot sa Zamboanga City. Bawal na dito administration. I'm very frank about this. Porque may miedo habla kanila. Public servant sila diato. Hili kita kanila. Porque may miedo habla kanila. They should be exposing. Kuan habla dila. Kuan sila eskonde-eskonde. Kasi mga good achievements sila. Kasi man sila legacy aki. May gani. Kasi man, mamarada pa ta subli mga hente kina. Sita sa kaso. Para sa probinsya gani, tampus kita para hindi man yan para diaton, jamong ko naki, tampabueno kami. Para bien de todo na Zamboanga, that is the only way para tener progreso entero ciudad de Zamboanga. Deho ya puera, takumpra gani de su mga tiyera, kay mo sila. Hok ba siya sila? Mabeno, ben niya lang. May mga kanaton tatendekin ba namin. Kaleho sa mga ayuda kanya. Pagi mo, edukasyon gani, dipisi lang yung anda na eskwela mga bata. Aura pa, kahit pandemic, dipisi, no hay mga dipisi.
Hindi ba
Por eso they are so much neglected. Unless, kaya sila local government unit sila como municipality. Unless that, barangay lang si Siyempre, at mercy lang si Siyempre sa City Hall. Kung sabla City Hall namas, sige lang mas, sige, kay, tao, abla sila non-political sa barangay, politicize sa man siya eh. Por eso mga sen, ako proseso mga gente arriba. Hindi sila takot na. Takot na sa dila kwerpo lang, talya tamen, baila positioning lang. Tapos magdapat, cycle ya siya, dede artes lang, tali man, kanto termino esos. Ay nga sa Senada, traffic aki, ay nga sa abri kamino, Except si Mayor Agad, Colette Pomigo, bahala sila ba? The best mayor so far, Mayor Agad. Ay nga na so sa apohak kunal traffic ate. Oh.
Well, yun actually ganito and no? The only city with no parking, without parking area. Ha? No parking but without parking area. Di ba? If you declare no parking, there must be an area where you can
Where
park.
you're allowed to park.
Ano tayo na sitio? Todo sila credit, di parking, di la para pero dahil tax-paying public. Konsum yung bira-bira, takoy pa kung esos. Na otro lugar, na Canada, tiene ese lugar. Yaplang un negosyante ko. Kadali sila, they prepare mga tax-paying public, tiene ka sila di la parking area. Sila tapos ko na di ilalya. Tiene sila bonamente parking. Pero mga tax-paying public, bira-bira na sitio, difícil. Para pa. Kaya naman so, tiene sila, sino taxpayers man kung esos tapanga. Pero tapipiri sila di nila mismo cuerpo. El tax-paying public, bira-bira, kuy pa kung esos. Cosa man este?
But towing, mayroon pang towing truck.
Difícil kita kung estos. Takpensa lang sila, di la. Tatangka pa sa sitio, difícil pa entra. Except di la pa bihikulo, ta pwede entra. Pero tax-paying pa yun, di pwede.
No pwede, no pwede.
Sa mga klase ka mo.
That is the reason why, no, Ed and John, people from Vitali district go to Ipil for marketing, no longer to Zamboanga. Kasi mas malapit ang Ipil, di ba? At saka bigger roads and bigger parking area. They have big parking areas in Ipil. At saka doon sa Ipil, yung mga motorist hindi binabastos gaya dito, sabi nila. Dito sa Zamboanga, dahil walang parking area, yung mga law enforcement aburido na, left and right violator. So, nagiging discourteous na sila, naging arrogante ba? Paghuli ng mga violators. Kasi wala namang ibang parking area eh. No parking, but where will I park my vehicle? Wala namang designated, di ba?
Why? No.
So, sabi nila, dyan sa city, binabastos ka lang dyan. Buti pa sa Ipil tayo. That's why some of the residents of Vitali district are going to Ipil. Doon na sila mag-marketing kasi mas malapit at saka malaki ang daan, malaki ang parking area at saka hindi sila binabastos.
Alam mo Rex, comparatively, you compare Cebu and Zamboanga City, maganda talaga ang ginagawa nila sa Cebu. May building, may parking area sa ilalim. Like here in Zamboanga, ilagay mo yung Aristocrat Restaurant dyan sa Canelar, near the Jollibee. Mga 20 tables sa loob, tapos ang parking area sa labas, 4 na sasakyan lang. Hindi tama yun.
Well, actually,
The engineering office of Zamboanga City must inspect ba? Halimbawa, gagawa ka ng restaurant, mayroon kang 10 tables, sa labas naman, gagawa ka ng 10 parking areas.
Sabi to Ed, aquí na Zamboanga, basta otro mayor entra, cambia ese plano. Si Mayor Celso, with all due respect, quiere ese alidon del antes barter trade, ese hace sila Zamboanga City Police Office ali.
Oh.
Parking kwan ese, elevated ese, hasta 4 story, to parking. Paano ese di Mayor Celso? Di ba? Na cuando si Bentali, ya cambia ese plano,
Ese
ya
police
ponele el Zamboanga City Police Office, she's after security. Kaya por cada Zamboanga City, napo mo, talia si Zamboanga City, akala Police Station 11, vencer ka lang sa city, nisisita pa ka ese poder. Por eso, nakay na poder, pwede lang. Ese initial plan ese, cuando si Mayor Celso Sinta, kaya nga plano, kaya sa parking area, sa paantin mga barter trade, sa kanapantalan. Oo, 4 stories tapan niyo kung despalo na, ano si Benya, ya cambia kaya, por causa si Zamboanga City, more security concept, por eso tiene depende na tayo sila, panadalang ba plano? Yan na tayo plano, kaya di daw parking area, daw tennis akil antes itaw doon, del BIR cerca, ponetamin daw. Hasta na plano lang man.
If that is
Ay, complete na they don't walk, they talk.
if
Talk
that
and
is
talk
the
lang
case,
sila.
about the headquarters of the PNP at the back of City Hall, that headquarters is too big as security outpost and too small as headquarters of the Zamboanga City Police Office. Ibig sabihin, pag matransfer ang City Hall, doon na naman yun as security force. Pag kung saan matransfer ang City Hall, magpatayo naman sa mga city police office sa likod ng City Hall para may security. Actually, itong problema natin sa traffic, walang solution ito dito. There is no other solution except to expand the development to far-flung barangays. But anyway, before we proceed, I would like to greet my friend and compadre Roger Tan, who is very simple and humble business leader of Sangma City and his family. And of course, our friends in Lamitan, my in-laws there, the Mateos, the Purigais, and the Pamarans. So, itong problema natin dito sa Zamboanga, the only solution is to expand the development outside the city proper. One is to create a province 10-kilometer radius outside of Zamboanga City so that we can have more internal revenue allotments na matatanggap natin. Instead of only one for barangay, we will have, of course, the city will retain its era. Then we will have a provincial era. We will have municipalities era, and we will still have barangay era. So malaking pundo ang magagamit para ma-develop itong mga far-flung barangays so that they can catch up with their contemporary barangays which are now cities and progressive municipalities. The only solution to this problem is to expand or to create a province outside the city proper so that people in far-flung barangays will not sell their lands anymore. Like now, they are selling their lands, but on condition that they will stay there as laborers and workers. So, I tell you, it's very pitiful to these people, no? From first-class citizens, they are now third-class citizens. Because before, in 1950s, according to the late Mayor Agan, if you are new in Zamboanga, you are treated second-class citizen. And Mayor Agan was the first second-class citizen to become mayor. But now, it has turned 365 degrees. Yung ating, with due respect, yung mga tao, kaibigan natin dito na used to be first-class citizens before, ano ngayon? Because of lack of development, lack of employment and business opportunities. So, they are reduced to a third-class or second-class citizen because they are selling their lands to people from Basolta who do not know how to bargain. Walang patawad, sabi nila. Pag nagbili yung mga taga roon, maraming pera. Not like before na they are discriminating outsiders. But now, they are accommodating, they are even inviting and they are selecting outsiders to buy their lands. Di ba, John?
Tama ka talaga dyan, sir.
Maraming
exactly.
Mucho ta comprachera ki de tawi-tawi.
Kuan, habla sila in frenzy. Eso, manada susinali. Bilsen, hindi na, cheke, sakasako yase, nakikere, bende. Regatese, kayo, for the first time, agar sila milyon. Kaya naman tatende ko na eso sa liariba. Kumpiyansa man ito kaya baho. Kaya paprekura sila, you remain there, kaya para manipula lang sila. Without knowing, kaya tres el dueño li. Till finally, we'll wake up, na mas, stranger ya kita ki. Now, we cannot stop these people, Filipinos namin esos. Dahil sa ganyan landing, sa Transberry Airport, may magana sila kumbersa, kay manada si Tierra Lee, ya kumpra mga private individuals. Now, how can you construct landing ali de partido Tierra Lee? Pero, may mas sila ta conversation. Ahora, bukaitan sila doon de lugar. Tipisil gani sila. Akilang gani lang kung doon
police station lang gani detetuan, may pakambya lugar.
Namasya sila kanaton. Kanada sila makasumot. Dola kaya ba si Mayor Agan, diarrhea of the mouth ya kamo. Conversa lang kamo. Bueno lang kamo li. Ustia kamo. Ipisi harat talyatay kamo. Sampukan niya kami kamo. Hindi sa election, abad presidente. Kami rin doon na siya, declare sa revolutionary government. No election. Nung kaya ganyan man na po rekondisyon, nagsisara. Sila naman si Tapolsa.
Tani emprende ka na to, no? China po ni Sara.
Ay, mga hente lang yan siya. Kaya man sila na politika. Kaya piyesta ka tayo, bata politika kina Pilipina, piyatarande ka tayo siya. Senyor, dito ka ba politika?
Ano sa palagay mo, Rex?
Well, anyway, 12 million Filipinos are asking for the declaration of the revolutionary government to stop or minimize corruption and to improve the performance of public officials. What is the danger here, John? Ano? Jay, just like what Aquino did in 1986, after declaring revolutionary government, all local chief executives were replaced. That might happen also. What do you think?
Posible siya. Kasi naman siya, depende sa nakabesa del Presidente Duterte, considering el temperament de ese Presidente, no pwede nga sangga ko niya siya, paltapagan mo. Por eso ayuda kita con él. So, ese Presidente, sincero, siya, quiere get rid of corruption, drugs, crimes. Pero, masaya ang Pilipino, taninjoy man na sila lang siyempre. Desperate siyempre, frustrated ang Presidente. Por ejemplo, Sara, huwag ka na lang magtagpo. I don't want you to also suffer the way I'm suffering now. May man suporta ko nila ito sa mga kabinet, mga plastic man sus. Hindi man todo ga, pero mamucho doon sa plastic lang. Pero taga na lang sila kustumbre. Filipino culture lang siyempre. Corrupt lang siyempre. Hypocrites lang siyempre. Tampak, Diyos, piring, Diyos, pero tala. Mataan sa left and right. Among law enforcers, tantirahan po kasa di. Usay kita. Boss lang po, corruption na nila. Sabi, ganda si Senali.
Espere na kita kaman investigal NBI.
Manada ka lukuras na Pilipinas. Por eso, Brad President, revolution na. While he's still in power, devil siya, ase. Kaya manada mga gente, desperate kami. Kaya eh. Kanto? 12 million? Kaya umenta pa siya. Mabuhay si leader ng sinaklase. Duro, patek. Ngayon nito ba? Kaya ko sa leta siya, no maneli ko. Hindi man korap. Hindi man no man ambisyon. Nabida. Nukere lang si Presidente. Kita lang kere ko na sa mandan. Ay, kore. Narakali, kapotayera kita. Pwede ka rin. In despair,
Well, actually, John, no, the situation has changed. No? In the past, people were against the authoritarian form of government. Kontra sila sa mga authoritarian government ba? But now, they are the ones demanding. 12 million Filipinos, according to John, that will still be added, are asking for the president to declare revolutionary government. Ibig sabihin, even the people themselves are already tired of this corruption and poor performance of our public servants. And the only solution is to declare revolutionary government so that those people who are not supposed to be there could be terminated anytime. Sabi pa ng kaibigan ko na Taiwanese, tanggal alis. Yung dapat tanggal alis. So that is one advantage, no, or solution to this corruption problem. So our local officials now must be very careful and vigilant because they might be affected by the declaration of the revolutionary government. Mabuti lang kung piliin ni Presidente yung mga dapat lang tanggalin. Pero kung sabi natin, uniform lahat tanggalin, palitan. Yan ang hindi natin wala tayong magawa kasi that happened during the time of Aquino. Di ba John, mayroon bang mga opposition during the time of Aquino? Wala nag-oppose, di ba? Pagtanggal sila, tanggal.
Pero problema, kung kita tiempo di Aquino, kaya deklara revolutionary government, mahalo ya kita. Usaya kaya manera, may magkita si siyempre.
Kasi sandali lang balik tayo sa demokrasya.
Talya siyempre, man kudeta ya, kay ipesip na Pilipino, terrible kita. May magani, arya man kita kunel hapon. Arya kita kunel mga Amerikano kay kiri kita independent. We are tired of war, excuse me. We are tired of war already. Kita lang. Pensaba kita na magera, kay na mga benefit ka nato man na colonize. Siguro, emperma kita sindi manggera, kita may mga Pilipino, tanggera siyempre. Ano man si klase, si mentalidad yato.
Rex, hindi ba yung during that time na revolutionary government, that was the time na pinuntahan mo si Kamlian?
Yeah, because at that time, the governor refused to
accept Louis Alano
to step down
as a new appointee.
Yeah. That's why they surrounded the capital with around 100 armed men with 30 caliber machine gun. But we were able to prevent it immediately because we used diplomasya pero coercive diplomacy. Meaning, we went to the provincial capital, John was still there, with 50 caliber machine gun, with mortar, facing the provincial capital, and I talked to the governor, sabi ko, go, kung meron tayong exchange of fire dito, matatamaan itong bahay mo. And the capital will be pulverized in few minutes. We have the mortar here. So sabi ko, you better let your people there get out from the capital. So, because of that diplomatic coercion, pinalis niya ang mga tao niya. Kasi kung mayroong enkwentro, una-una matamaan pamilya niya. So, pinauwi na, sabi ko, you can let these people go home. We will give them clearance to pass the checkpoints. So, in few minutes, kumuha siya ng dump truck, pinakarga sa dump truck yung mga armado, balik sa kanilang municipalities. Because all the mayors were also there. So, after that, we have become friends with the mayors and the governor and official. I bulled out all the mayors there. I scolded them because we were all friends, but for what they did in that morning, it is unacceptable. But anyway, that was settled, and 2 days after, the OIC Loy Alano took over as OIC governor. So ito lang ang pamamaraan na yung sabi natin na
Revolutionary
diplomatic
government.
coercion. But anyway, what is important is the safety of the people, and that was the product of the revolutionary government. All local chief executives were replaced governors, mayors, including even vice governors. So after that, there were appointees, no? Then I think Mayor Agan was one of them. And in 1988 regular election, some of them won, many of them won as local chief executives. I think, John, you were there during the Extra Revolution. You were still you were still running your sa mga
Correct.
reported, the best newspaper at the time.
Sabi to,
And the best editor-in-chief is John Feliciano.
come on, humasya ka natin mag-parte.
No, as far as sa
Sabi to, no, we are better. Si Tenez revolutionary government, the first thing that Duterte should do, resolve the proliferation of firearms. Kuya, mga armas de fuego, and there are many unlicensed firearms kina Pilipinas, especially kina Mindanao. Por eso, it's not surprising to know na mga bloody gun attacks. Unsolved pa man, manada. Mga police, with all due respect, bakit mo naman, police resolve sa kay, kontra dilo, maarmas kami nese, ay notel. I'm sorry. No, I hate this. Por eso si Tenet revolutionary government addresses the armas que tamang proliferate. Before martial law, no hay gani armas de fuego. Ahora, sus María Josep, no sabe kita quién tiene ese arma, de unlicensed pa. Ese debe el presidente Juan para to resolve crimes. Kaya mga mucho valiente dyato na ki, valiente man, kaya tiene armas. Detlugi ka law abiding citizens. Kaya, uno pa, tiene sila armas. No pa, Juan pa. They will be, kaya illegal possession of firearms. Paki mo naman protehe sila nila cuerpo. Kaya bawal ese. Por eso debe, si tiene revolutionary government, siya problema de proliferation of firearms. Makinkin lang tapoy nila, ba? Basta malakas lang kung kunesi doon din tapoy nila, tapoy nila. Nalugin ng mga law-abiding citizen. Kasi tinatuhan man, isita to, sige, proseso. Di mo na, contigo, kwanto? Illegal possession, unbailable pa man yun. Hindi ba, sir?
Yeah.
Ganyan. Para hutya si krimen. Ay, bueno, mga Pilipino, kontra dyaton, kontra tapakon. Akal, nato naman naggukapulit. Uno mga biktima, di may hermano gani ese.
Akal,
okay, no, what are you doing? Uno lang de ese. Pero bien manala ka tanesok, akal tamin uno, na soft drink, moher. Pamilya ka del Congressman Manix. Ya tira lang. Naalala mga pulis. Pwede siya. Manada si
Akal na Pepsi Cola dyan, de Pepsi
Manada
Cola.
kayo. Kung klima ko gani, kung yakelo de blanco, tata de blanco, ya muri. Manada ka taki. Ya pwede, resolve. No pwede kita. Kaya ano de, proliferate lang aki. Siya prinsipyal. Durante el military martial law, gun running. Very public knowledge siya, gun running. Kaya kung sila rebelde, Muriel rebelde, tala, mga arma nila, may AAP manese. It boils down to corruption siya. Bemala sa te pais jaton. Sayang lang, God-fearing dita mga gente, the only Christian nation in the whole Asia, pero ang sinal jaton ng estilo.
Well, actually, we have inherited this from our abusive Spanish colonizers. In fact, next month we will be celebrating the 500th year anniversary of the abusive Spanish colonial regime. Well, that is, they call it Christianity, no? But anyway, the Spaniards before were using religion to abuse the Filipinos. Di ba? Unwritten history says that when Magellan landed in Mactan, that was March 21, 1521, nakita ni Magellan, maraming mga ladies doon, mga native Filipinos ba? Sabi ni Magellan, kasi Padre, pwede ba kita kasaki mga hinti, mga mujer? For my broken Spanish, sabi ng pare, no pwede, Senyor Perde, kay mga paganisto, pagano ba? Pagano.
Pagan.
Sabi ni Magellan, busca manira, pakimodo. Sabi ni Padre, sige, dali kita kanila bautismo para kida sila Kristiyano. So they were all baptized after that. Sabi ng Padre, Perde, Senyor Perde, iskuya para kasaba. Sabi ni Perde, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 19. 10 kagad kinuha ni Perde. Sabi ni pare, porke man manada? Sabi ni Perde, mas buti may reserba. So yung iba, nakuha yung 10, other women were abused by the soldiers of Magellan. They removed their, yung, tawag nito?
Yan,
armored vest, no?
Ganda ko na
Ngayon, nabutan ni Lapu-Lapu, nakabalitan ni Lapu-Lapu, pumunta sa Lapu-Lapu doon. Nabutan yung mga Espanyol na habulan sa mga Filipino women. Doon na sila nag-enkwentro.
Tahya ko na
Pagkatapos enkwentro si Magellan at si Lapu-Lapu, napatay si Magellan. Nung makita ng mga tao ni Magellan na wala na amo nila, sigaw na, atras para mar. Balik sa barko. That was the story of Mactan na our Filipino women were abused by the Spaniards using religion. Di ba, John?
Correct. That was the Waterloo of Magellan. Por eso habla si Duterte, debe el panhiro si Lapu-Lapu, hindi si Magellan. Por eso too much of Spanish también kwan diaton. Por eso proho kita. Donde man kita sa klase de costumbre. Proho, pili, holiday, pili.
Yun, hasta mga nombre.
Oh.
Hasta mga nombre diaton.
Naya cambiase. Por eso, admit namin kita kay before Christianity, ang mga Muslim taki. Pero regardless kay kung Pilipino kita todo, regardless what religion we belong, being a Filipino, you not us. Naman kita man discriminate kay Muslim ito. Kay kembayase ka natong kay Muslim Christian. Hindi man. Peaceful ang Pilipino.
Pero we'll talk about international news. Yung sa India ngayon may problema.
Maraming problema ng entero mundo. Hindi lang nga kwan.
India.
Kahit ito mundo, difícil na. Por eso tali el pandemic. Hindi na. El Diyos, rabyaw ya ka natin. Ay, sus Maria.
Because they...
Packet of jobs are everywhere now. Eso mga political leaders di jato na ke. Usted ka mo. Kaya si di nyo sueño, ay borras eh. It will vanish in the air. Silvia ka mo na gente, na mga politicize, kaya na pa ka mo tsepo. Tas supril din nyo mga gente, usa lang kamo kunin mga gente, with all due respect, de verasan. No hay alivio kinapili, no hay ascenso sa mundo. Kamo lang si tampa, kamo lang ka na-ascenso, pero mga gente din nyo, pueblo, hindi ka na-ascenso. Pobre, kamo takeda rico, kaya tali kanino mga resources del gente. Por eso quiere kamo na poder, para pwede lang kamo usa. Presidente, gane, sumucha kanino habla. No masya po na sa dinyo karatulali kay ito, proyekto, nadabaw ganin, no kaya rin man na po na disyo mga karali, dahil disyo, tas insisti, tali pa, retrato de so mga nusay kay man, dira daw kay proyekto. Sene sa dalente, el presidente sa no kaya man miral si mga ratal, na hindi susta sige. Tali pa siyempre, decision ko, ili daw yung osik, sa dalente sa, makauya pa ninyo.
Well, actually, yung ano natin kasi, we are, ano tawag nito, yung conscious of title ba?
Yeah, correct.
Doon sa Palawan, nakita ko mayor doon, ano? Byron ba yun ang mga pangalan? Tapos, mayor, public servant. Walang honorable. Kahit si President Biden nga, when he was introduced, sabi ng MC, the President of the United States of America, Joseph R. Biden Jr., period. Walang excellency, walang honorable, di ba? Pero sa atin dito, pati kagawad ng barangay gusto tawaging honorable. Kailan ka naging honorable? Ay, tell you. Mahilig tayo sa titulo eh. Karamihan ng title naman galing sa Recto. Ano ba yun? Recto? Recto Street in Manila. Maraming fake titles doon eh. So, ang ating dito, our local officers must leave a legacy as what John said, no? Legacy, so that even if they are no longer in position, they are no longer in public service, people will not forget them, like Senator Rosalie Lim, who initiated the separation of Del Sur from Zamboanga province. And now he is considered the father of Zamboanga Del Sur, and he is always remembered every year during the celebration of Zamboanga Del Sur anniversary on 16 September, no, every year. And of course, we have the Artilim municipality in Sibugay and the Artilim Boulevard here. These are legacies that you should leave. Even you are already several feet below the ground, people will always remember you.
Okay, correct.
So if a province, Preciosa province will be created 10-kilometer radius outside of Zamboanga City, whoever is the sponsor of this bill will become the father of Zamboanga Preciosa province. Of course, it will start from the local legislators, from our councilors to pass a resolution so that our congressmen can pass a bill for approval in Congress. Di ba,
Good
John?
morning, Guntingoli Joe, sa Palawareki, pati ko na, di Adnan.
Good morning tawin ko Attorney Tongo. Tali ka na.
Anoling.
Ano yun? On top of the mountain, okay. Bueno ka tayo jawali. Abla-abla ka nato kay Bonito sa Anoling. Namalital, manda ka nato nali.
Yung alay pirmi Jun.
So, we'd like to, yes sir, ayun, 100% na-agree ko sa inyo. Tayo, wala talaga yung hopeless tayo dito. Ay, difficility klase sistema ng gobyerno yato. Por eso na revolutionary government, total, bueno malintention del presidente, quiere limpia corruption na Pilipinas. Bien corrupt kita, ¿sabes qué manera kita este? Siempre queda pobre, queda lina, yan ka na politika. May gani. Todo queda tampa bueno yan. Si mira kita kanila do tak kami na sila do na area. No sabe sila kay public servant sila. Pide tan seryoso sila na Dios kay my loyalty to my party ends when my loyalty to my people
When my
begins.
duty to my people
Bullshit.
begins.
Todo pendehada din makahuya lang.
Mahilig tayo sa
Teka
slogan.
lang kamo sino.
Paano, Rex?
Slogan. Magaling tayo maggawa ng slogan.
Bueno,
Basta slogan, number 1 na tayo.
Number one, todo cambia todo ta cambia. City of Flowers gani, cambia sila, siya sa Latin City. Ay, kaya ka mo siya. Mamahal kita kay mga Latin country. Na pobre sa gani ito. Tadi pa mga droga, todo.
Quebrantaw,
Malo sa
Latino.
klase mga kwan. Hindi man kita tamang kwan ng mga Latin. Pero, mga tasong prisos, mga Latin country sali. Kaya po na naman siya sa Latin City. Ay, buyak. Kita ko na Ciudad de Flores. Antes, kita lang tayo sa City of Flowers. No, ay El Baguio. Kaya sa postal lang sila mga kwan. Nakumpra ito na kwan. Tagal, retrato de Zamboanga, el retrato de Pasodanca, kay Flores, de Bagumbilla. Noon nga kita, entero Pilipinas. Entero mundo! Taman bugal kita sa, taman promote kita tourism. Kam Zamboanga. So, you go to Zamboanga. Bonito ang Zamboanga. Entra to mga politikero. Putang politika lang ka na.
Latin
Cambia.
City.
Todo ka para kaya na bueno ang Zamboanga. Todo pwede. Tagyan na poder. Kausa sila kere ase sila. Hindi na sila tao boses del gente. Debe kere sila. El gente uwi kanila.
But anyway, John, if only our local officials are deep thinkers, like Zamboanga del Sur, where Rosalie Lim was considered father of Zamboanga del Sur, and of course in Sibugay, Congressman Hooper, who sponsored the bill for the creation of Sibugay province, became the first governor. And in Sarangani province in South Cotabato, the congressman there who sponsored the bill for the creation of Sarangani province, Congressman James Chongbian, his wife became the first governor of Sarangani. And even Guimaras in 1990, because I was assigned to these places during those creations. Guimaras province was created because of the bill sponsored by Congressman Albertito Lopez, who became the first governor of Guimaras. So, whoever will sponsor the bill for the creation of a province, they will become the father of these provinces, and that legacy will never be forgotten by our people until the end of the world.
Correct, correct.
So,
So,
they should
Pikuraya,
legacy.
Pikuraya man is sponsor Connected City. Then you will become the first governor.
Sa atin man yun, no, and Ed, we are just advocating.
Yeah, correct, correct.
There's nothing that we can do. We are just advocating. We are just waking up our local officials and of course our people. Because for a long, long time, we have been sleeping in the pansitan according to them. No? So we are left behind by so many cities and provinces because of lack of foresight, lack of imagination by our local officials, and aggravated by lack of knowledge also with due respect by our taxpayers who should know their responsibility and duties as citizens. Na we should be vigilant, we should be sawag nito, you should monitor the performance of public servants so that they will perform better, not lousy and lazy public servants that we have now with due respect and sa Pandos Filipino. So, live legacy by thinking deeply. Di ba, John?
Correct.
Debe original mindset yato, pero aki, si hindi to man-join kanila, mahina ka to, pata, boss. Por eso, mira mo, pobre lang po siyempre. If you not join them, rabyaw sila kuntigo. Kaya kami sila, kaya corrupt to. Por eso, politika, and tatuli, na, kaya lang to corrupt pali. With all due respect. Kaya, Julia pa kuntigo, mahina, boss. Por eso, mira, boss, talya mo ng squatter, mira mo ka namon. Mambukat pa sila, kaya corrupt sila. Ang sinang kustumbre. Hindi ba, sir?
Yeah.
Pag hindi ka mag-join sa kanila, bobo, boss. Mira, boss. Pobre lang, boss, siyempre. Talya, boss, na boss. Fan. Mira, boss ka namon. Mira, sir, klase. Mentalidad yato. Aligre ka mo, sir. Makawuya ka niyo. Nakakahiya yan. Sa
Kaya
Japan
nga,
yan, hindi pwede yan.
Kaya tayo,
Harakiri yan sila.
We have a problem on development in far-flung barangays. Kasi, sabi nila, our local officials are selfish and greedy. And we inherited this, sabi natin na ugali sa Spanish time, no? Yung sinabi dyan kanina, no? Sa atin kasi dito sa Zamboanga, bawal ang makiusap, bawal humingi ng tulong. Di ba? Bawal ang bawal to beg for support for the community. Lahat bawal. Kasi, yan ang natutuhan natin sa mga Espanyol nung alaw. Mataas ang tawag nyo, pataasan ng ihiba. At saka, pretentious. Kahit na walang pira, sabihin nila maraming pira. Magprito ng asin, sabihin nila, para marinig ng kapitbahay na piniritong isda o piniritong karne ang ulam. Marinig naman ng kapitbahay, prito din siya ng asin doon. Hanggang yung compound na yun, prito ang asin ng compound. Kasi kanya-kanyang pataasan because of our mentality that we have inherited from the Spaniards. Wala tayong magawa kasi nandyan, hanggang ngayon nandyan pa sa ating sa ating tawag nito, sa ating dugo ang mga masasamang ugali na iniwan ng Espanyol sa atin.
Siestas and fiestas.
Lahat na masamang ugali na inherit natin sa mga Espanyol during that time. Because we were under them for almost 400 years. You can just imagine. 100 years is too long na. We were under them for almost 400 years, I think. 20 years, 50 years, mataas na yan. 70 years. Ngayon, 400 years. So, lahat na masamang ugali na inherit natin sa mga Espanyol during those years. Di ba, John?
Correct, exactly. Por eso, the only way is to return to God. That's the only way. Be spiritual na. Pag ganito, karnal lang mismo tayo, amo lang siyempre kita ugali dito. In the flesh lang kita, talita ka na, last of the flesh, last of the eyes, pride of life. Taga na lang gati, kay ngayon makita na Diyos That's the only way. If you want to change, return to God. Tanga-tanga naman ka muna siyelo. That's the only way. Return to Him. Ay, hindi kita being the spiritual, amo lang siyempre na flesh kita. No wonder, no may cambio. Go, return to God. From the heart, seryosa kita. No kita resa with only our lips. From the heart, Sincero kita. No man kita man hypocrites in the sight of God. Sisilbi kita na gente, silbi sincero. No. Kaya ba, superficial lang, kahit tempo election. Marada taki hypocrites. Por eso, makikita na kita.
But anyway, Pastor John, mahaba pang ating pag-usapan pero maikli ang oras natin.
Correct yan.
So, before we wind up, I would like to get the closing statement of Ed.
Kung nakil mga kintaoy ko este radio program Pagbabago, bira kami uli na Sabado from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. Good morning.
John.
Yes, walang personalan. Issue lang kate. No man kamo man onion skin ha. Kasi man onion skin kamo, no ma silbi na publiko. Don't be in politics. That's the price you have to pay. Kasi walang personalan dito. Sa issue lang tayo. God bless.
This program, Pagbabago, Volunteers for Good Governance, is sponsored by following volunteers: Albert Cahayon, Atty. Tungo Climaco, Igno Toraben, Ed Ferrer, John Feliciano, and yours truly, Rex Mirabiti. So, thank you very much for watching. Happy weekend. God bless us all.
El de con todo suena claro y más fuerza.